All right, this is episode 8. I've already made it almost 2 months doing this project, and I appreciate you all listening in. I realize I have not had the time to shave and present myself, so you know what? I'm gonna change that. Give me 1 second. Ta-da! I think it would have been so funny if I actually had popped up and my face was full of, I actually am bleeding. I should really get that looked into. Hold on a second. Okay, so that gimmick didn't go out quite as planned. All right, welcome to video 8, week 8 of On Comedy and Life. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to share with you a very interesting week I had and tell you 3 ways that has helped me cope with some really bad news that I received earlier this week. But before I do, I want to share with you some really good news, and that was my show this past week on Thursday went really well. Now, why am I sharing that with you? It's the first week I've implemented some of the things that I did in my goal book, and that was to farm out some of the hosting duties to some of my fellow comedians. It was a great show. I got to do a serious set and managed to record 12 minutes of my comedy, which I'm really proud of. And that comedy binder that I had been showing you is coming in, it's really coming in handy. So I'm really glad that I'm using the tools to set me towards my goal of recording an album next year, February, and I'm implementing some of the things that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Now, I do want to talk to you about some really bad news that I got earlier this week. I, as you may know from previous videos, am not in such a secure place with my job. They're in some financial straits, and I'm not really sure if I'm gonna have a job in 3 months or 6 months or in 8 months. I really don't know. And it's really tough going to work, trying to give it your all, when at any point they could just call you into the office and say, hey, we can't afford you. We're gonna have to let you go. So months ago, I had applied to an amazing job. I just felt like it had put together all this experience I had in the nonprofit world, plus my love of technology, and I thought it was such a perfect match. I even knew somebody from my high school that works with them nationally, so I got to talk to them about the job, and I was just so jazzed. And the process had taken a lot longer than I thought, but I went from interview 1 to interview 2, where I had to do a presentation, and I leaned heavily on the fact that I have a background in improv and a background in comedy, because I feel that those are useful tools when teaching people, because you want to make, the things that you're teaching entertaining and enjoyable. It's kind of the thing that I'm learning with this YouTube channel. I hadn't heard from them in 2 or 3 weeks, and I began to mourn the loss of the job. I just thought it was such a great job that in that 2-3 week period, I was really sad that I didn't actually get the call that I got the job. But I didn't not get the call that I didn't get the job. So it was like a mixed bag of emotions. Now, all of a sudden, I get a phone call, and they tell me that they want to interview me for the final round. And I was so excited. Then they call me the day before, and then they go, Alex, we know that you're Canadian. We just want to make sure that you're able to work in the United States. Now, I was like, oh my God, of course I am. I have a permanent resident card. It's not a big deal, no problem. But I hung up that phone, and I thought they were tipping their hat. Now, what does that mean? I just thought that they were giving me a clue that I was the one that they wanted. Lo and behold, I ended up having an okay third interview. I was just so excited to be interviewing with them that I was, I guess, too much. I think I should have dialed it back a bit. Now, I know what you're probably saying. You're probably saying, Alex, you don't want to work for a company where you can't be yourself. No, that's not what exactly happened. I think I was just a little too casual in the final round of the interview. Now, it had been a while since I had done a job interview, and that's fine. It kind of sucks when the job you really want is the one job interview you have after not interviewing for a very long time. So that's what happened with me. I had a final round with them. I thought I did an okay job, but I think I was too, I don't know if the word is cocky or just feeling too sure. I'm not really sure. And that's something that I'm sort of reflecting on, but I'll get to the sort of lessons that I learned from that experience. They ended up letting me wait 2 or 3 weeks, and that was another emotional roller coaster where you're feeling on hold. And I had asked a friend who kind of knew the person who was interviewing me if they could find something out, and she said that they had narrowed it down to 2 or 3 people, and I was one of those 3 people, and they were still deciding, and they had this really big event that they were working on, so they didn't really have a chance to make a decision. And then as that big event approached, I sent one last email and said, hey, good luck on that big event. I know it's going to do really well. And I got an email the next day saying, hey, we've chosen somebody else. And that was heartbreaking. And that happened to me this Monday. And luckily for me, I had that Thursday show to help me pick up my spirits. And I'm really glad, because comedy could go both ways. But I wanted to say, like I said, I had implemented a lot of the things that I'd been talking about, reviewing my material for my comedy binder, making sure that I had a host in the show to take care of those duties so I could focus on my comedy. And I spent an hour prepping my material. So I was lucky with the bad news that happened on Monday. 4 days later, I was able to sort of resurrect those feelings on stage with some really great, funny comedy. Now, here are the 3 things that I learned from that bad experience on Monday. It sucks. It sucks to be rejected from a job that you really wanted. Even a job you probably didn't want. It just sucks to be rejected. I understand what it means when you go out and you ask that girl or that boy out and they reject you. I get it. It sucks. Here's the thing. Be a little vulnerable and honest, okay? I ended up talking very openly about my experience with my wife, and she was very sympathetic, and she understood that this was a really great opportunity for me. But she did remind me that there will be other opportunities. So the first lesson I learned was reach out to people that care about you in your life. I ended up emailing 3 comedians that I really like, and I just let them know, 1, that I got rejected from this job and I'm feeling bummed out. And 2, in my last video, I told you guys that I was trying to have a little more fun. So I said, hey, I don't want this to get me down. You guys want to just see some comedy. And a couple of them, responded very quickly. And one of them was texting me saying, hey, I hear what you're going through. Why not catch a couple of shows that I'm in? And also, why don't we go check out these shows together? And I really appreciated that. So thanks, Kinner. I do appreciate that. Secondly, I have to say that what my wife said made a lot of sense, that even though I had my heart set on this one job, there will be other opportunities. And that's the important thing that you have to remember, that if you ask a girl out and she rejects you, a lot of times it has nothing to do with you, okay? Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you, okay? She's just not feeling it. But the truth of the matter is that there are plenty of fish in the sea, as they say. So just take that to heart, because there is. And that has to go with the next comedy show, that if I bomb it, there will be another comedy show. And if there's another job, I will find another amazing job and apply for that. It made me think of a couple of psychological things that I wanted to share with you, and that's the illusion of control and sort of, I think positive illusions. Now, positive illusions is actually very important. It helps in relationships where you sort of maximize your thoughts on positive feelings, but you have to be careful not to be totally deluded about it, okay? Now, the illusion of control, on the other hand, is somehow feeling that we have this ability to control these events. And that's what was been running through my head, that I felt so sure about this job that I was almost a shoo-in. And after having such a great first and second interview, I kind of let that feeling take hold of me in the third interview, and I let my professional self down a little bit. And I think that's an important lesson to take. And that is the third thing that I want to share with you guys. So first off, reach out to the people in your life, okay? Whether it's your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your husband. Let them know how you're really feeling and be honest, okay? Secondly, know that there are other opportunities out there. You just believe it because it's true. There are always going to be millions of things out there that are great for you. And lastly, learn from this experience, okay? I didn't get this job. I think part of it is that I think I would be a great teacher and mentor, and I have the skills to entertain people, but I do believe that I can go on something like Coursera or Udemy or something like that and grab a course and continue to learn and improve myself, so that when I'm presented with another opportunity like this, I'll be a better version of myself than I was a few months ago. So those are the 3 things that I wanted to talk to you about. I really appreciate you checking this out, and I think I'm gonna start sharing this with some people, just because I'd like to get some feedback on whether or not I can improve in any way with these videos. Thanks so much. This has been On Comedy and Life. I'll see you next week.